Hello again, everyone. I'm Tom Nagorski. Welcome to this conversation with the Cipher Brief. I'm the Cipher Brief managing editor. We're here today to talk about the tantalizing prospects that we may finally be on the verge of a ceasefire in Gaza. Now, of course, we have heard the words momentum to a ceasefire so many times, breakthrough possible so many times. But now we have many people, including National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan, saying there is the distinct possibility, he said, that we will have a ceasefire in that war by the end of the week. Joining us is Cipher Brief expert Emile Nakhleh. Emile, great to have you with us. And before we get into the detail, you've read all the same things we are reading, and I wonder if you can share what your degree of hope is at this moment when we have had so many moments before where the hope didn't come to fruition.
Yeah, thank you, Tom. So nice of you to have me on your program. But I'm also cautiously optimistic about this potential ceasefire in Gaza for at least three reasons, right? One is the pressure by both the outgoing administration and the incoming administration. I mean, the Biden administration wants something to happen before they leave office. The incoming president has always said he will resolve this issue on day one. He would like to see a ceasefire. So we see here both administrations are interested in concluding some sort of a ceasefire within the next 10 days or a week.
Yeah.
The second reason I'm optimistic is that even though Israel and Netanyahu has been very successful in liquidating the threat from Hezbollah, from Hamas, from Iran, Netanyahu realizes that he could not have done all of these things without American weapons and support, political and military. And that's a strategic calculus he really must be thinking about if whether he is going to sign a peace agreement or not, that the bigger factor in the equation is the United States. So both administrations, outgoing and ingoing, want him to sign, conclude a peace settlement. And I just saw a public opinion poll in Israel this morning on Haaretz showing that 71% of the Israeli public want a ceasefire. So these factors, it seems to me, the diminishing threat of Hamas, Hezbollah, and Lebanon and Iran, and the pressure from the United States, and certainly the pressure from the Israeli public, are all pushing Netanyahu to conclude a ceasefire. And I think let's not forget that in the last week, Israel, the Israeli military has suffered a number of casualties, senior officers as well as soldiers in Gaza, over 10 deaths in the last week. And so these casualties are also putting pressure on Netanyahu to conclude a ceasefire. So because of all of these reasons, I tend to be more cautiously optimistic than previously.
So, first of all, let's hope you're right. One of the many stumbling blocks has involved the nature of a ceasefire, right?
Yes.
And Hamas insisting that it should be permanent, absolute, and the Israelis insisting, I think Netanyahu even this weekend used the word partial, so that if we see something happening, we reserve the right to go in. How do you see the two sides getting a little bit closer on this question?
Yeah, I see them closer for the following reason. One, the weakening position of Hamas, but also, in a sense, the weakening position of the radical ministers in Netanyahu's government. Ben Gvir is really on a shaky ground today, which I thought he wasn't a week ago or 10 days ago. Even Netanyahu hinted at that the other day that, well, he's afraid that if he signs a ceasefire, his government would collapse. But basically, he was talking about Ben Gvir, and I think the Israeli public has had it with Ben Gvir. As Ben Gvir and Smotrich have been really against any ceasefire. And I think with the ceasefire, Netanyahu might be in a stronger position, I think, to stem the pressure from the extreme right wing of his government, especially Ben Gvir. And he might be in a position, even courageous position, to say, fine, if they want to leave the government, I think he will get other elements. So I think that changing domestic Israeli politics will, give me a cause for optimism. Of course, cautious optimism, because the wild cards in that region are legendary.
Right. So, Emile, in the time we have left, maybe I could ask you about what might follow. Obviously, if a ceasefire can be achieved, and if your optimism is well
warranted,
then the obvious things are freedom for the remaining hostages, humanitarian aid presumably comes into Gaza, an end to the enormous toll on civilians there. But you're a native of and a student of the region. What else, what other benefits will come or might come to the Middle East beginning the day after a real ceasefire takes effect?
Yeah, I think you can enumerate several benefits. One is that destruction will hopefully end in Gaza. That aid will come to the people of Gaza, because these are the ones who have suffered more than anybody else, right? So aid will move into Gaza. Some sort of a PA Hamas agreement will occur about the governing of Gaza. But regionally, I think we will see a stop to fighting on the Israel-Lebanese border. We could see more rapprochement between, especially if Israel makes a statement in support of a two-state solution, that relations with the Arab states, especially in the Gulf, might expand to include Saudi Arabia. This is not going to happen until first a ceasefire occurs, to a discussion for a path forward toward a future for Palestine. And I really think these are the potential benefits that could occur from a ceasefire.
Yeah. And I mean, I guess to state the obvious, some of those things could really change the region for a long time, right?
Yes, that's for sure. Particularly if the situation in Lebanon and Syria stabilizes.
Right, right. Emile Nakhleh, thank you so much for being with us. And we always appreciate hearing from you. And as I said before, more than anything, I hope that your cautious optimism is borne out by what we see later this week.
As they say in Arabic, from your mouth to God's ears.
Inshallah. Thank you again, Emile. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much.